Record. Hello and welcome to the WREVA Electrifying News podcast with a little bit of a spin on it today. With us as a special guest is Mr. Ken Bokor of the EV Revolution Show. How are you today, Ken?
I'm great, Mark. Thanks for having me on, as
Very
always.
good. Very good. And with us as normally, we have Mr. Erik Stevens joining us from REVA. How are you today, sir?
I am fantastic, Mark. It's like shorts and t-shirt weather out there, just above freezing. So,
It's amazing how excited Canadians get when the temperature goes above zero. It's just amazing. Yes,
Bring on the
indeed.
shorts. Bring on the shorts.
Here we go. As I tell my family, we are over the hump. So I hope that is correct. With that said, today we wanted to talk a little bit about the new EVAP program that the Canadian government has introduced recently. And in fact, I believe it's taken effect as of today. And there was a hard start on the program. If you were before today, you would not qualify. But today and going forward, it is qualifying. And Ken is with us as basically a little bit of a subject matter expert. We've been looking over the articles online and what the program entails, and maybe Ken just give us a breakdown of what this program is about and how it's setting up to help Canadians with EV purchases.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And again, thanks for having me on. It's been a bit of a complicated, as you mentioned, rough start to the program, but I think the irons are out and they're getting rid of the wrinkles. So I think we have a good understanding of the program. The genesis of this program is kind of like a continuation of the old IZEB program that we had in Canada before that the funding basically ran out. And the government thought about it and said, what should we do next? How should we structure this? Where should we put some efforts and funding to help continue to move the yardsticks forward with EV adoption? Now, part of it, of course, maps into Canada's overall greenhouse gas emissions and carbon target emissions forecast that they had. And they originally had the IZEV program mapping into a 100% of plug-in sales for new light-duty vehicles by 2035. And there would be a tiered or stage, different stages and different milestones to hit to get to that 100%. 2026 was supposed to be 60% on new sales for light duty consumer vehicles were to be plug-in. But of course, we're nowhere near that. The numbers aren't out for 2025, but just to set some foundations, I think we're going to be around 10% adoption for last year in Canada. So we're nowhere near, where they want the targets to be. So the government has paused that program and now has reevaluated with input from the OEMs, from all the different automotive groups, including dealers and associations and everybody, and has now said, look, let's push those targets out. They were a bit too aggressive. Let's make it 90% by 2040. And I believe 60% or something by 2035. So let's lower those targets to make them more achievable. And let's put some financial incentives back out there for consumers to help them get into this, to help drive that program forward. So that's kind of where we are now today, being February the 16th, the first day of this new EV affordability program. And it's part of the Canadian federal government's overall new national auto strategy, which includes things like allowing Chinese EVs in and all kinds of other incentives to do with consumer charging and commercial charging, medium and heavy duty EV vehicles, and all kinds of other programs that are out there for fleets and things like that to take advantage. So what we'll focus on this conversation is the consumer EVAP, the EV affordability program. And as it sounds, it's $2.3 billion of earmarked funds that officially starts April 1st. However, as you said, Mark, they started the program earlier, being today, and it's designed to help. I look at it as a bottom-up approach, and that's not a negative. It's just trying to get more affordability up to potential Canadian consumers who are looking at plug-in vehicles. And I think you and Eric both know that that's been a challenge for us so far in Canada. To get anything under $40,000 is pretty well impossible.
Exactly. It's been it's been a high bar for EVs for new vehicles in most cases. There's a few exceptions, but they're few and far between.
Yeah, there's a few more vehicles on the horizon that are kind of look like they're either just arriving now or going to be arriving in the next couple of years. But yeah, that getting that price threshold, and I guess the new Chinese incentive to get half those vehicles at an import price below 35,000 as well too is trying to push that direction as well too a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And again, none of the OEMs, as you guys know, are building EVs under $40,000. I mean, we have a couple at 38 and change, but when you add your freight PDI, everything is at 40 or just over. So, in order to really get that affordability, that's why the Canadian government is allowing the Chinese in, plus so that we are not so reliant on the US, right? When we won't get into tariffs discussions today, but to get that affordability. So, federal government says, look, we'll have some lower end not necessarily quality, but price products coming from the Chinese market will allow, 2.5 to 3% of our market for them. And the rest of it, let's try to spur that on by bringing this $2.3 billion of funding. And let me share a slide. Then what I can do, Mark and Eric, is talk to that slide here that I put together that just kind of outlines the program. So hopefully you guys can see this.
We
I'll blow
can.
that up.
And
Okay.
I'll just interject with one thing just as we get started. We talked about the Chinese a few times. Just so people are aware on the outset, the Chinese vehicles that will eventually be imported will not qualify for this program.
That is correct. So the key to this is all models made in Canada or by free trade partners, current free trade partners, and of course Chinese. We don't really have that free trade element right there. All we've done is reduce the tariffs from 100% to 6%. So we've taken 94% of the tariffs down to bring them in for affordability. But this is a 5-year program starting April 1st and going to 2030. As you can see, it's a scaled, tiered rebate program as well. So it starts at $5,000 for all electrics or hydrogen vehicles. And people might say, hydrogen vehicles, where are they? Well, there are a few in Quebec and BC if you happen to live in those provinces where you can actually buy a couple of consumer-based hydrogen products from Hyundai and from Toyota. But here in Ontario and most other provinces, we have no refueling infrastructure on a consumer side. So it's really, you can't even buy those in these provinces. But when we look at all electrics and then we look at plug-in hybrid vehicles as well, you can see those sliding amounts on the bottom starting at 5,000 and 2,500. Now, these are point of sale applied, so it's not like you have to fill out a form and send it in and wait for a check. These are applied at the dealer or online. If it's an online purchase, like some of the dealers will do things transactional online through their websites on new purchases or 4-year leases. And these are new vehicles, and a new vehicle can be like a demo vehicle. So something that has no more than 10,000 kilometers on it that hasn't been sold yet. So it's still in the dealer registration and it hasn't been sold to any consumer yet. So those will qualify as well as long as they're on the list or they meet the criteria. The main, as you mentioned, Mark, earlier, that we've had a bit of a rough start is where the pricing is. What is that price cap? And on the older program, it used to be based on an MSRP range, and then it would be vehicles falling in that have a starting MSRP of that, not what the final price is. This program is taking it differently, where they're looking at what is the transaction price that a consumer would pay for that vehicle but not including all the fees. So I'm going to try to run this down as best as I can. The cap is $50,000 Canadian, and that's for the price of the vehicle, any additional options that you select either through the dealer or online, any dealer added on options, let's say a tow hitch or a roof rack or whatever, a cab for the bed if it's a pickup truck, whatever, those kinds of options that dealers can install. Whatever they are that you select that adds to the price. If you can keep it under 50,000, then you will qualify for the $5,000. In this case, if it's an all electric, off that purchase price. I believe tax is added on to that, and then the 5,000 is taken on after HST. That's the way it worked on the other program, so I don't see how that's going to change. What it's not including are things like freight, PDI, air tire taxes, all that kind of stuff, HST, and any additional warranty. So if you buy an upgraded warranty, winter tires, level 2 chargers. So a lot of course, dealers And auto manufacturers that sell products will also, if you want, you can buy a level two charger from them. That's not included in that price point, or any down payments or trade-ins. So before you look at any down payments or trade-ins, it's whatever that price is. So it sounds a little confusing, but I think as we move forward into this program, the dealers will have enough information to be able to talk to consumers when they come in and look at these vehicles. As I mentioned, it's models that are made in Canada or by free trade partners. And the in Canada is relevant because currently there is still one EV that is made in Canada. And when we say EV, we mean plug-in vehicles. That's what this program is for. And that is the Dodge Charger EV. Those are still made in Windsor. And as long as they're still made there, they will qualify. And there's no price cap. So it could be a $90,000 Charger. Could be whatever it is. You'll still get the $5,000 off of that in the first year, or any remaining Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid vehicles, because they were made in Windsor up until about a month or 2 months ago when they stopped it. But there is inventory, albeit probably pretty sparse, I would imagine, but there is inventory across Canada on any remaining Chrysler Pacifica PHEVs. So those will qualify as well. Again, no price cap. You can see there that it's one rebate per person for 5 years. So you can only do it once within 5 years for the registered owner. Not like before where people could maybe buy a bunch of EVs and get the rebates and then flip them and do all kinds of weird, wonderful things. So they're trying to clamp down on that. For companies, though, for small companies, SMBs that are looking at fleet type applications or just in small applications, you can get 10 rebates per company for 5 years. And then car sharing, like Uber or others, CarZip or whatever, my understanding is that, sorry, not Uber, but car sharing, is that you can get 50 rebates per year. So it's quite attractive for that. Any questions from you guys on this slide?
No, that's pretty clear. Again, as you mentioned, it sounded complex at the start, but
Yeah.
as we're focusing on this, it's starting to make a little bit more sense. And I know there was some confusion about the cap price, either including or not including freight, PDI, additional
Yep.
warranty stuff, but it seems like that has been buttoned down, which is good to know.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious, does this apply to vehicle leasing as well too?
To vehicle leasing?
Yes.
Yeah, a 4 year lease is only though.
Oh,
So nothing
4 year
shorter.
leases only.
Yes.
So
Has to be a 4 year lease. Yeah.
though I suppose if you lease a vehicle for 4 years and then you trade it in and try to get another EV, then you don't qualify anymore for the program.
You'd, you're right. You probably have to, because it's only one rebate per person versus on a vehicle. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but by then the rebate would only be $2,000 or $3,000. So
Correct. If you started now, correct.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
So,
that staggering down over
yeah.
the years, which indicates to me that if people have been kind of waiting for this to appear again, there's going to be quite an influx of people going for the full rebate that they can get in 2026.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is the year that we're going to see an increase in year over year. As I mentioned, we don't have the Canadian registration numbers yet for plugins from 2025. They were trending all over the place. One quarter over quarter was 30% difference, one was five. So I expect it to be about a 5% drop from 2024 to 2025, from about 15% of market to 10% for the light duty market for plugins. But we don't have the final numbers. But based was what you just guys just said, we should see a really good spike this year with this 5,000 back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the program is. Again, some of these things might flux, they might change because government could tweak it a little bit depending on how things roll out. But that seems to be the gist of it. Where we're going to see a lot of dynamic play is in what vehicles are included in this. Because at the end of the day, if a dealer gives an incentive and is able to price it down below this, then they could, in theory, sell, almost any EV they have in their inventory that they want to if they want to get the price down. Now, they do need to run it by the Ministry of Transportation and get that cleared, so they can get it added to the list, quote unquote. And if I go to the next slide, this is roughly what I put together, which I think, again, it's going to be a dynamic document. This is going to change. But this is kind of the list of eligible all electrics. starting at the program that I could put together and find information on. Now, a lot of these are on the website as well, and I know you have the link. You can share that in your show notes. So you can see that again, this is looking at affordability, and there's actually quite a lot of all electrics in this case that are available under this
Mhm.
program, more than I originally thought. So the new Bolt that's coming out, both trims of that. We have both last year and this model year Equinox in both the front wheel drive and all-wheel drive LT, and then the RS front wheel drive trims. We have, I mentioned the Chrysler and Dodge products there that are listed, even going back to 2024 for the Charger. So I guess there's some sitting in inventory
Yeah, somewhere. Yep.
Yeah.
with hopefully less than 10,000 kilometers that
Yeah.
somebody might be able to find a good home for, right?
Exactly.
All the Fiats. Fiat's a great car, by the way, and I don't know if you saw that at the show, but I'll just throw out this for Canadians listening. I mean, if you're looking for a second or third EV or just a little city go-arounder that's going to cost you peanuts to operate, go check out the Fiat because right now Stellantis has this great leasing. You can get it for as low as $25 a week on a 2-year lease. Think about it. That's only a couple of Starbucks a week to drive around a very affordable EV that will cost you to do 12,000 kilometers a year, which is I think is the least limit. That would cost you, I don't know, like 500 bucks or something. Not even that. It's so cheap. It's crazy cheap. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That's a great deal.
yeah, so they're going to be gobbled up in Quebec. There's no doubt about that. I think they have zero down in Quebec. So I saw that offer at the show, and it's only running right now until the end of February. They might get extended, but I would check your local dealer or the websites for that. But great little car. So you
Mhm.
can see they all qualify. We've got the Mustang Select versions as well of
Mhm.
the Mach-E, both rear-wheel drive and the electronic all-wheel drive standard range models. No surprise on the Hyundai Kona Electric preferred, the Trend and the Ultimate as well, trims, both model years. Kia, I think, is one of the big winners here, and they brought out new product right at the right time, both in the EV4. I believe the EV5 will qualify. So where you see TBC, that's just my guess that I think that because I can go and price them online
Mhm.
with some of those fees that I mentioned that aren't included and get under 50K depending on how I option it. So
Yeah.
I suspect that you'll see a couple of trims of the EV5, which I think is going to be a great product. The new EV4 that's out, and of course the Nero, which is still out. Going back a few years too on the Nero, which is surprising.
Yeah. And
Um,
I just drove by Waterloo Kia earlier today and I
yeah,
saw an EV4 on their lot. So,
yeah, yeah. But they had them at the show too.
yeah.
So they're definitely there, starting to get into consumers' hands, and the EV5 is not far behind it. I think it's coming second half or in the summer of this year. Now the Leaf isn't on the list, but again, I priced out both the S and the SV Plus versions, and you can get that under 50K as well. So I think once the dealers start submitting more of these vehicles, we'll see them show up on the list. Same with Subaru. It's not on the list, but you can get the Solterra, believe it or not, all-wheel drive and the black cladding version for under 50K, depending on how you price it. And they've just announced the new Uncharted all-wheel drive. I'm not 100% sure. There's no MSRP pricing yet. I'm assuming it might qualify. It depends. It's usually a little bit, Subaru is a little bit more of a premium than its Toyota sibling is, because that's the same vehicle basically as the new Toyota CHR BEV product that they announced.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure, but listeners and viewers should check that out. Keep their eyes open for that. That pricing should come out within the next week, I'm told, from both Subaru and Toyota. Let's come back to Tesla in a sec. Just to round it up, the BZ for sure is on that model BZ, and then the CHR, I suspect I'm pretty sure it's going to have at least one trim that's going to be well under 50K to qualify because it is an entry-level product. Great product. Toyota surprised me by dropping two more BEVs and this auto show, which is great. Now I've got a kicker there in VinFast because the last time I went to the website a few days ago, they had the VF8 Eco that you could get for under 50K because they were throwing a 10K discount on it. So either they got wise and they want to try to get into this program as well and move some products, or it was an error. So, but that's what I saw when I went to price one out. So consumers should look at that. That might qualify as well. Now, Tesla, there's been back and forth with Tesla. Right now, they're not on the list. And I'm not 100% sure why, because I think there's a couple of fees that are on their price list. When you break it down, I think it's just looking at the design, I think it's the OMVIC fee, sorry, maybe the tire fee or the air conditioner tire or something. It's not the destination, but it's at 49,990 for the standard range, or what do they call it? The
Right now
rear-wheel
it's the
drive.
rear wheel drive Model Y.
So
Yeah.
all you need is $10 more to kick it over. So
Yeah.
something is clicking it up because
So if you
apparently
have checked off a water, you don't want to do that because you'll be over that $10.
that's what it looks like to me. It's so close that I don't know if you can get it exactly under 50K. There's something in that kicks it over. My good friend Darren at Drive Tesla was letting me know that info. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think you guys could guess too that Tesla should come back and do something on that, right?
You would think, if being that close, you
Hmm.
would probably not want to sit out on this. You could move quite a bit of product, and I think they're going to probably try to get it under the wire on this.
Yeah, maybe just a few tweaks and adjustments to their pricing, even if they dropped it $1,000 or something like that,
Yeah.
you probably get, that opens it up quite a bit. So
Yeah, a couple $100, it could be that it could be
yeah,
that close. I have a feeling it's just that thin of a margin that's just kicking it over a little bit. So and we all know that Tesla needs sales. They're down in a lot of markets. They need to pump it up, and I think this is the rear-wheel drive is a great product to do that. I think it's a great entry-level product for them. Good range, good efficiency. So we'll see. But I think the key for takeaway for viewers watching and listening to this is that this list is going to change. It is dynamic. The dealers are going to get creative. There's no doubt about that,
mhm.
especially for quarterly pushes or maybe month-end stuff. Don't be surprised to see them get very creative in their price points to try to take advantage of this.
Yeah. I think there's also a number of vehicles that are going to be on the horizon that will also qualify for this. I mean, we're hearing lots of talk about Ford's new pickup truck that in Canada is probably priced around the $40,000 mark to start. And then vehicles like the potentially Kia EV3 coming to Canada. And then
Hmm.
of course, because Kia and Hyundai are so intertwined, there might be some Hyundai versions of those vehicles coming as well too at some point.
For
And
sure.
I think even 2028, General Motors was even hinting at a family of Bolt type products as well too, possibly replacing this current architecture. Hence why the current Bolt might be limited edition kind of thing. But
It
um,
definitely is limited edition by what we've heard. They
yeah,
an 18-month or less run because the plant in Fairfax, Kansas, where these are built, they're going to move that line into ICE vehicles, probably by the end of this year. So I
yeah,
think we'll see a run, and which is too bad because I think we all agree the new Bolt is a great all
Yep.
electric.
yeah.
It's
Though I
unfortunate.
mean, the existing Bolt was built on the same assembly line as ICE vehicles as well too.
Mhm.
So and I've heard from GM executives saying if the demand is there, they'll keep building them. So
That's
uh,
promising. Good. I like that. Hmm.
Another thing that might come to fruition is at the auto show, there was a small van from Kia that was on display, the PV5. So they say end of 2026, hopefully with an introduction to Canada. I got to believe that that vehicle is just under 50,000.
Yeah, I think great for you to point that out, Mark. Yeah, it's a great vehicle. It's not as big as the E-Transit, but that's the kind of space it's going to compete at, is that last mile delivery type of element where somebody, Amazon or whatever, these kind of delivery services, a lot of fleet applications, because it is a nice vehicle. And I think, it'll have good range, good efficiencies. The Kia has built great EVs.
mhm,
And we don't know the pricing, but I am hoping that it'll come in. If not, it may qualify then into the medium heavy duty side of that ZEV program because I believe that funding for that has been extended, but we'll have to wait and see how the wording comes out. So that
mhm,
was for up to 200,000 off an all electric. So let's say you wanted to buy a $350,000 Volvo all electric semi truck. You could get up to $200,000 off of that for fleet applications. But the e-Transit it's on there for 5K, I believe.
mhm,
So to your point, it's a great point, Mark. We may see the EV5 or the PV5 come in as a potential great offering for fleet because it'll have better range. The e-Transit's kind of right on the border of in the wintertime, 200-ish, and that could be a little lean for some people.
Yeah, I also wonder, will this program encourage maybe even some of the other manufacturers to import other vehicles? I know people have been commenting for years, why doesn't Volkswagen bring the ID3 or other similar like vehicles to North America as well too? So maybe that'll push them
Yeah.
to start doing that as well.
Yeah, I think, as mentioned earlier, I think there is going to be a place for the manufacturers to play around with what their offerings are, what their pricing is, because there's going to be quite a rush to the door, I believe, for people trying to collect the extra 5,000. I know many people were caught off guard when the previous EV credit disappeared almost overnight. In fact, I think it only took like 4 days after they're announcing that, you know what, this may be drying up. And then, like, after the weekend, it was like, it's closed. So there was a lot of people that were kind of left hanging on the fence. And we knew that the government was going to examine this again. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of consumers were just holding off purchase to see what would come down the line. And now that this has been announced, I think we're going to have a bit of a flood of EV purchases, especially since this amount does go down year after year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. This is really the stimulus to kind of kickstart that EV adoption movement again. It's still there, obviously, in some of the other provinces in more capacity than it is in others. By the way, any existing provincial programs that are out there, so for listeners or viewers that are outside of Ontario, this is the EVAP is a federal program, but if you have something in your province that an EV qualifies, these are stackable, so you can get the 5,000 plus whatever your province offers like they were before in the old IZEV program. So you could get, I think in Quebec it's 2,000. So you could get, in essence, 7,000 off a Fiat 500e. And I mean, Fiat's giving 16,000 bucks discounts on these products. That's why they're coming in at $25 a week for leasing. So
Yeah,
they're trying to move some products. So I think this is a great opportunity now this year to kind of kickstart the market from the lower end, try to push it up just to get more eyeballs and more visibility on the market as well, which is what we really need consumers to do. Have a good, solid look, get educated about EVs to make informed decisions.
exactly, exactly. Eric, not to put you on the spot, do you have anything else you wanted to contribute to this topic as we're
uh,
winding down?
and I think I've covered everything I wanted to. Yeah,
Okay.
that's great information.
Yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate you, Ken, coming on the show and outlining this program. Anything that we're missing or you wanted to add at the end?
No, just basically, for consumers to keep checking the federal websites and again, go into the dealers, start having those conversations. Again, they will get creative. There's no doubt about that. That they're hungry to move EV products. And there's lots of great choice out there. So I encourage consumers to really go out and have a good look. Spring is coming soon. We'll see EV battery ranges go up again. Everybody will start smiling. Everybody will feel good. We'll sing Kumbaya and sit around a fire and enjoy life. As the range goes up. But it's a great time to be looking at an all electric or a really good plug-in hybrid. Don't forget, there's some great PHEV options out there as well. The couple that I mentioned, I think the Pacifica, the Ford Escape is another one, but I'm sure we might see some others like maybe Kia Sportage or others get arm wrestled into this segment as well.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe for those out there, Ken, how can others follow you and see your postings that happen on the interwebs?
Sure, appreciate that. I'm just on X or Twitter at EV Show is what I call myself there, so you can follow some of my posts and stuff. Of course, my YouTube channel, EV Revolution Show, just Google that and you'll find me. Also do audio podcasts from time to time. I have a whole library of about 60 plus that you can listen on Spotify or iTunes or most music players. Just search for EV Revolution Show audio podcasts and you'll find them.
Very good, very good. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. Any I guess any final words, Eric? Any shout outs?
No, just I would just say that, hey, the EV revolution is still in motion. It's still going. We maybe had a couple little setbacks, but one step back, two, three steps forward. It's still going. So
Exactly, exactly.
You just described the Canadian government, so there we go.
that's life, I guess. That's
That's
life.
life.
And for you viewers out there, if you think of something that could be added to this list or you'd like to see added to this list, put it in the comments. Let us know. I'd like to see what your thoughts are. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the video. Press that subscribe. It helps us out immensely. It doesn't cost you anything, and we would appreciate it. With that said, we thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you next time on Riva Electrifying News. Have yourself a good evening, uh, afternoon, or morning, depending on you're watching. Thanks so much for being with us.